2015 Insta baddie over the top brow moment.
But I'm kind of living.
You and me are on the same goal.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. So if you guys are new here, my name is Dominique Pancake and welcome to today's video. First and foremost, I just want to say if you guys hear any stuffiness and runny nose, any of that jazz, I am feeling a little bit under the weather, so if my voice sounds weird or you hear any like weird noises from me, that is why. I guess fall really is kicking in here in Florida because my allergies have been horrendous. So yeah, please don't mind that. Okay, so today is going to be a little bit of a different video from me. I already have my makeup done, obviously, which can I just say I'm living for this look. And I used one of the palettes that we're going to be talking about, of course. But I just wanted to come on camera and really just talk about this collection. Obviously, if you guys are here, you see the title of the video, you know what this video is going to be about, but I just want to talk to you guys. Now, obviously, we are going to be talking about the Jaclyn Hill X Morphe Vault. And girl, so I got some things to say. Okay, so how do I express my thoughts? I think first and foremost, I should say a little disclaimer, if you will. I want to say that I'm not here to bash Jaclyn Hill. I love Jaclyn Hill. I adore Jaclyn, and I absolutely love all of her videos. I've supported her from the very beginning. I have purchased almost all of her collections. I think all of them, actually. And I just love to support fellow YouTubers, especially women. It's so inspiring to me to see a fellow beauty influencer really out there just killing it. So I love, and respect Jaclyn for those reasons. As for Morphe, I have been a huge Morphe fan from the very beginning. I mean, all of my brushes, I'd say 90% of my brushes are Morphe brushes. I love their palettes. I think they are such good quality for the price point, and I will always be supportive of that brand, especially because they come from humble beginnings. So I just want to give a disclaimer that I'm not here to bash Jaclyn or Morphe. And that is not to say that this is going to be a negative video. It's really not. I have a lot of good things to say about this collection, but I do want to have that disclaimer because there are a few negative things I have to put out there as well. I think one of the main reasons I wanted to do this video is, for one, I know so many of you guys are interested in this collection. Anything with Jaclyn Hill's name on it is going to do numbers. I mean, her original palette that she created with Morphe, everyone has it. It's like a staple in everyone's collection. So I know that this collection here is going to be something that so many of you are eyeing, and I want to do my part as a YouTuber influencer and just tell you guys my thoughts and maybe share some techniques that could help you with the issues that a lot of people are having with this collection. Basically, just want to give you guys my 2 cents. I know a lot of you guys actually come to me for reviews, and that means the world to me. So I'm here to try my best to give you guys a honest review. I think right now, more than ever, with the state of the beauty community, a lot of consumers are the ones that are hurting the most from all of this drama because people do not know who to trust anymore. People don't know who to go to for reviews anymore because there's all this talk of, oh my god, such and such is getting paid to do negative reviews and such is getting paid to say that a product is amazing when it's actually shit. I'm not here to do anything other than play with makeup. And so many of you ask me on a daily basis, what's your favorite foundation? What do you think of this collection? What do you think of this palette? And it does no good for me to lie to you guys. So I just want to do my good doing, if you will, for the community and speak the honest truth about this collection. And I feel like we're getting a little deep, but there's just so much drama going on right now. I think it's time to finally have some new faces in this industry. I think that right now it's very saturated and a lot of people have lost what got them in this industry in the first place. There's so many talented artists out there who know what they're talking about, who recommend good products regardless if they're paid or not, and who are in this because they love makeup. And I think it's time for those people to shine right now. That being said, I feel like I'm going off on a tangent. You guys are here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to know the tea, if you will, about this collection. So, if you made it all the way through this intro, bravo to you, because I don't even know where that tangent came from, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys the rundown of how I feel about everything right now. And I just know that there's so much controversy with this collection, and I'm just here to tell the truth and tell you guys what I love, because there are so many things that I do love about this collection and what I think could have been done better. So if you made it through, I love you so much for listening to my ramblings, and if you want to know my thoughts on the collection, then just go ahead and keep on watching. Let me just add some gloss before we get into all this talking. You guys, this lip combo is everything. This is Smashbox lip liner in the shade Figgy, which is like this beautiful like cranberry berry shade, and then Fenty Gloss Bomb, the original Gloss Bomb, and I'm living for this combination. If you guys are interested to know what I have on my face right now, I will be posting this look very soon on my Instagram, so if you do not follow me already, I will go ahead and leave my link to my Instagram right here. Shameless promo right there. And I will also list all the products in the description box below, because this face is stunning. So yeah. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into the tea. There's not that much to say. I feel like everything that I would say, someone else has already mentioned in a video. But I do want to give you guys my impressions, if you will, because I think how I feel about this collection is a little bit different than what everyone else is feeling. And first and foremost, when Jaclyn Hill announced this collection, I was absolutely shook. And I will be honest, the reason I was most shook, the reason I wanted this collection is for two reasons. I wanted it for this palette right here. I thought when she showed this palette, I was like, this is the ultimate palette for the fall. This color scheme is everything. And I just want to take a second and give props to Jaclyn, because I will give credit where credit is due. I think Jaclyn Hill is a makeup genius. These color stories are unlike anything I've ever seen an influencer do themselves. I think she knows what colors go well together. I think she knows everything she needs to know to put out her own line. So I'm not questioning her abilities whatsoever. I think she is so smart when it comes to makeup, and I hope that one day I can get to this level of just knowing what works, if that makes sense. This is the Armed and Gorgeous palette. I was so excited for this because it was perfect for the fall, and fall is coming up, and I just knew that this would be a staple for me this upcoming season. Second reason, I was literally shitting my pants when Jaclyn swatched this black shade right here. This shade right here is called Temptress. Yeah. God bless, I cannot break another one. This is from the Dark Magic palette, and I'm not gonna lie, I swatched this myself, and it swatched just as beautifully as Jaclyn's did in her initial video. It is the most black, beautiful black shade I've ever used in my life. So in my opinion, this palette, which I love, this is one of the palettes that I absolutely adore, is worth it just for that black shade. I feel like this video is going to be a little all over the place because I have so many thoughts and I don't know how to be organized, but just bear with me, okay? I know this is going to be a little bit
confusing,
maybe, or just hard to follow, but I'm trying to keep my thoughts in order, so just bear with me, sis. Okay, let's go back to this palette. I want to get the bad and ugly over with, and that's basically only this palette. And I'm going to be honest, this is the only palette I have trouble with. And even with the troubles, I have figured out a way to work past those troubles. So let me give you guys a preface. When I'm working with a palette for the very first time, I go through the method of going transition, which is the lightest shade, to the darkest shade into my crease. Now this isn't typically how I do my eyeshadow techniques, but it is what I do with new palettes, and I will tell you why. The lightest to darkest method in the crease, which is basically how everyone learned how to do eyeshadow, is kind of a beginner's technique, if you will. Not that it's simple, I'm not saying that, but I think that is how most people do their eyeshadow. So when I'm trying a new product, I like to do it that way so that I can give you guys a real review on how most people would use the product. I hope this is making sense. So when I first used this palette, keeping the transition lightest to dark shade technique in mind, I went into Axis, which is here, and then what is this? Secure, which is here, and then I live for this olive green shade, which is Top Secret. And I tried to do that, which would be my darkest of the three, of course. Okay, so the first two shades, Access and Secure, the yellow and orange transition shades, they were beautiful. Absolutely stunning, blended like a dream, looked so incredible in my crease, and I was vibing with the palette. I was living for the moment. The second that I put that olive green shade, Top Secret, into my crease, patchiness. Patchiness galore. And it was really bizarre because it did not matter how much I built up this shade, it would just have a naked patch on my eye. I think I have one picture I will insert on the screen right now. Hopefully the picture does it justice, because in person, just a naked patch on my eye. It was bizarre. And I was like,
well, shit.
A palette that I was so excited for, the most exciting palette in my opinion of the collection, has just let me down. So I take off the look and I try again, and I do the exact same process with the two transition shades, Access and Secure. And then this time, instead of using the olive green shade, I decided to go into this beautiful like poopy brown poopy brown shade called Smooth Criminal, which beautiful shade. Beautiful shade. I need companies to make the shade in every palette because this is a perfect crease shade. Anyways, same thing happened. Patchiness, just a mess. Naked patches on my eyes, and I was getting really frustrated because, you know, like, that just expresses my opinions right there. So I was really frustrated, and I just rolled with the punches. I ended up making a beautiful look, insert here, with this palette. So that just tells me it is definitely workable, easily. It's a workable palette, but it's not up to par with what Jaclyn Hill says it is, and I think that's where the problem is. Okay, so I finished the look. It turns out actually really pretty. The next day, I'm thinking about this palette, what is this again? Armed and Gorgeous. I'm thinking about this palette and I'm getting really frustrated because I wanted it so badly to work. I was rooting for this palette. Like, I wanted this baby to work because it is so stunning. This color story is everything. So I sat down, I didn't put any foundation, didn't even do my eyebrows. I sat down and I just played with the palette. I just sat here and I was like, okay, what can we do to make this work? So I was like, okay, maybe I don't do the beginner's technique where you go transition lightest shade to darkest shade. Maybe I do what I actually prefer to do, which is pat down the deepest shade first and then go in with your transition shade to blend out the edges. That is actually how I prefer to blend out shadows because I feel like you get the most color payoff. But again, I was thinking in a beginner's mindset for you guys in terms of a review, so I didn't do that initially. I did that and absolutely no issues whatsoever. No patchiness, nothing was hard to blend, the color payoff was incredible. It was beautiful. Like that, it was a drastic difference from the first two times I tried the palette. The first two times were completely patchy, they did not look blended whatsoever, it got really muddy and gross. But the second time, doing the deepest shade first and then going in with a transition shade to blend out the edges, it looked beautiful. Okay, so that alone just tells me that this palette isn't a bad palette. In fact, I will definitely be using this palette all of fall season. I think that this is a really good palette. The pigmentation of the shades alone was never an issue. The shades were always extremely pigmented. So that was never the issue. The issue, of course, was just the patchiness of the deeper shades. So what this tells me, when I did those two testings, if you will, is that this is a very workable palette. It's a beautiful palette, but it has a learning curve. And I think that people who have trouble blending, or beginners in makeup, or people who are just enthusiasts and starting out, those types of people will have trouble with this palette. This is the only palette I've had trouble with, so that's why we're just going to start with this one. There's definitely a learning curve here, but it is workable. And in my opinion, the price point, what, I don't know, $12? I'll have it up here on the screen. The price point is very justifiable for the learning curve. And let me get into this. Regardless of the deeper shades, I mean, this is just my opinion, take it with a grain of salt, please. But this is kind of going off track, I feel like, but it's relevant to the story. So literally since I started makeup, I have been searching for the perfect bright white inner corner highlight, and there have been so many shades that have worked really well and even been close to what I want, but they weren't that exact shimmer shade that I wanted in my inner corner. This right here, this, what is it, VIP, the white shimmer shade in this palette, she did it with that shade. That shade is the perfect inner corner highlight shade in my opinion. So again, take what I say with a grain of salt. This palette is worth the entire $12 or whatever it is just for this shade. Just for this shade for the inner corner. I would pay $20 for this shade to always have that in hand for my inner corner highlight. My final thoughts, if you will. I think that this is a really stunning palette. The color scheme, she did an incredible job with the color scheme. I love the shimmer shades in this palette, especially this one and the look I did. Insert here. Beautiful pop of color. It's so shimmery and just glistens on your eyelids. So gorgeous. I think this is a really beautiful palette. I live for this shade. This shade right here is obviously my favorite in the palette because I've been looking for it for so long. Again, there is a learning curve, and I think it's up to you guys if you want to get the palette for that price point and have to deal with that learning curve. My biggest advice for you guys is to start with the deepest shade, which I do a lot of this technique on my Instagram. Insert shameless promo here. I do a lot of this on my Instagram where I do the deepest shade first and then go in with the lightest shade to blend out the edges. That is my biggest tip for you guys if you're having trouble with this palette or any of the palettes in the collection, and see if that works for you. So that is the tea on this palette. I still love it, and that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, moving on. Okay, my nose is running and it's messing up my makeup, so we gotta make this quick because I don't want to be at the end of this video and my makeup be complete shit. So let's make this quick. The next palette we're gonna be talking about today is the Dark Magic palette. Now this is actually the palette that I played with first from the collection, and in terms of how easy it was to use, it's definitely the most user-friendly palette, and I feel like I gravitate towards this palette a lot because I live for like a silver shimmer shade, and as you guys can see, I played with this one the most from the palette. Now I do have a small bone to pick with this palette. The shimmer shades in this palette, when I pressed with my brush, seemed to crumble a little bit, and I did have this problem with another palette. We'll talk about that later. So I don't know if like certain palettes are formulated a different way, because the Armed & Gorgeous palette didn't have that problem whatsoever. But this one and the Alarm palette both had the problem where the shimmer shades tended to crumble a little bit when I pressed my brush into it. You guys see how like the indentions from my brush, it's like as soon as I put, please focus, it's like as soon as I put my brush into it, it starts to crumble and kind of mold to the brush, which I found really weird. And you guys will hear from this later, but I did drop a palette, and I didn't even drop it that hard, and the shimmer did shatter. So I don't think that these palettes are that great for traveling, just an FYI, because I barely dropped the Alarm palette, and one of the shimmer shades did break, and then as you guys saw on this one, Power Cut crumbled a little bit when I pressed into it. So I think that they are very sensitive, so I would not travel with these, and I would be very careful with them. I wish I knew that because I broke one. Now, I love this palette. I think the color scheme, again, Jaclyn's a genius when it comes to the color scheme. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. We're not even going to talk about this palette that much because I didn't have any issues. The only issue I found was the crumbling of the shimmer shade. I think this black shade is absolutely gorgeous. Jaclyn said in her video that she would pay for this palette just for that black shade, and I 100% agree. I'm actually going to go ahead and swatch it for you guys so you guys can see how pigmented this shade is. Don't mind that. That's from like doing my makeup. I'll do it over here. Like, I think that is so stunning. One of the better black shades I've worked with. So I think that even, as Jaclyn said, I think that the palette is worth it just for that shade. If you guys want to see a look that I did using this palette, then go ahead and go to my Instagram. I did a really smoky, beautiful, cool toned look, and I was obsessed with how it turned out and the blending was so easy. Sometimes that's an issue with cool toned shades. They're harder to blend, but I didn't have any problems whatsoever. So this is one of the easier palettes to work with, in my opinion. Okay, so next we're gonna go into what I used today. I used the Bling Boss. In my opinion, I feel like I've been saying a lot of that in this video, but because so many people are having different experiences with this collection, some people are hating every single palette, some people think that each palette is incredible, and this is just a conspiracy theory, but I do think that palettes might be formulated differently for everyone because there's so many drastically different reviews out there. So that is why I keep saying in my opinion, because you guys might get the palettes and they be completely different, and I've been seeing a lot of that on YouTube, so that's why I am overly expressing in my opinion. Okay, so in my opinion, this palette is the most underwhelming palette of the collection. That might be just because I don't gravitate towards these shades as often. I will say that I know from multiple influencers expressing this that purple shades are the hardest to formulate out of like all shades. So maybe that's why I didn't have that fun of a time blending this out, even though the look looks incredible. I love this look. So I don't think it's unworkable, but I did have to work extra hard to make these shadows blend out. I don't like this shade here as the only transition shade in the palette. I think that these purple shades in here are so rich. They're just beautifully rich shades. And then this is too cool toned for those rich shades. Kind of strange to me. I used this shade today in my crease and I packed it down first. I did the technique where you pack down the deeper shade first, and then I went into this shade here to blend out the edges, and I was having a hard time, and I really think it wasn't a formulation issue. I think it's because these shades don't mesh well together. This one's more rich and this one's really cool toned. So I thought that was kind of strange. Also, I played with 3 shimmer shades. This is just going to turn into Dominique messing up words for 10 minutes straight video. I played with 3 of the 5 shimmer shades in this palette, and I found that they were not nearly as shimmery and beautifully glistening as the other shimmer shades in this collection. So this palette is a little bit more unique because I get a look at the look that I did today using this palette and kind of give you guys the rundown. Sorry, I'm looking at the monitor. I know that's really annoying, but I'm trying to like analyze this look. Although I love the look and I think it's really beautiful, I do wish that the shimmer shades that I did on my lid here on the cut crease, I wish they were a little bit more in your face, bling, like glistening, beautiful, like glass on your eyelids. I didn't get that effect from those shades, whereas the other shimmer shades in some of the palettes, especially this baby, they glistened so beautifully, and I didn't get that effect from this palette. These 2 shades in particularly, I can't speak, from the palette were a little lackluster for me, but this one was really beautiful. That is the one I put in my inner corner, and I love that one. It's not a bad palette, and if you are into these kind of tones, I would say go for it. I just had a little bit more trouble blending it out than the other 2. It's my least favorite palette in the collection for those reasons, but I don't think it's a bad palette, especially for that price point. We are moving on to the last palette, and we need to have a moment of silence for this baby. She didn't even have a chance at life before she was shattered. Okay, you guys, I'm done being dramatic. Let's just talk about this palette. This is the only palette I haven't got to play with a lot. I used it like once and then it shattered, so yeah. So I don't have that much to say about this palette. I know that's kind of annoying. You're here for the entire review. I will say this. I know neutral shades like this, these are very neutral, are super easy to formulate. I think As you guys saw, the shimmer shade broke. I think that this palette is pressed a little bit differently than the other ones, because when I dropped the collection, which it was a very, very small fall, and it wasn't like smashed on the ground, I dropped all of the palettes, and this is the only one that shattered. So I think that the shimmer shades in this palette are a little bit more sensitive, and I did swatch all of the colors in this collection. I think they are super pigmented and very rich. I like I said with the other palettes, pigmentation has never been a problem with this collection. The pigmentation is there. What people are having problems with is the patchiness and muddiness of the blending. So I don't have that much to say about this palette. I think it is a beautiful palette, and I will be doing a tutorial using this palette very, 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 very soon on my Instagram. Shameless promo, go follow me. So if you guys do want to see that, you can go ahead and head over to my Instagram, and when I do that video, I will put in my description my thoughts, my overall thoughts of this palette, just so you guys do get my final thoughts for it. So yeah, I really hope this video isn't that long, but I did want to go into each palette individually to give you guys the rundown on my thoughts. I don't think that this is a bad collection. I really don't. There are a couple more points I want to make really quickly. First point, a lot of people are getting a V1 version of the palettes and then a V2. I have the V2. Okay. If you guys can see that really, really tiny, I have the V2 version. Please focus. Come on. Get with it, chickie. So yeah, I have the V2 version. I have no idea whatsoever if that has any effect on the formulation of the shadows. Some people swear up and down that it does, and Jaclyn herself says that it doesn't. I don't know. What I do know is that there's been so much drama with this collection. I can only vouch for what I received, and I like it, and I think that it was worth the money. I think that some of these palettes are ones that I would use over and over again. I have no complaints. The only issue I've had with this entire process is that I do wish that Morphe was handling the controversy a little bit better. From what I've seen, they are kind of acting like it isn't happening. Jaclyn said in her video that she wants to offer everyone who is unsatisfied full refunds, but I've seen people on Twitter post their email screenshots where Morphe's telling them, no, you can't get a refund if it's opened. So I think that there's a lot of miscommunication with this collection. I think Jaclyn might be thinking one thing, but Morphe's doing another. I don't know. None of us really know. Obviously, there's a lot of conspiracies going around. I wish that it was being handled better, but in my personal opinion, I love the collection. I love Jaclyn, and I will continue to support her. There's not 1 ounce of me that believes that Jaclyn would purposely try to hurt her subscribers. I don't see Jaclyn as a vicious, mean, cold-hearted person. I really do think she means well. It's just, it sucks. If her name's on a palette or a collection, there's always controversy, and I really feel for her for those reasons. If that was happening to me every time I put out a product, I don't think I could do it anymore. So I give props to her for pushing on, even though there's so many people hating on her out there. My nose is running. I gotta get through this, okay? I think that if there's anyone to be mad at, it's Morphe for not handling the situation correctly, and obviously not telling Jaclyn the correct things, because Jaclyn's saying, yes, you can get a refund, but Morphe's saying, no, you can't. I think they're worth it. I hope this cleared up some things for you guys. I hope that you found this video at least a little bit informative. Like I said, my best advice for this collection is to pat down the deepest shade first, and then go blend out the edges with the transition shades. Be careful with the palette. Shimmer shades kind of crumble and a little scary to play with, and yeah. I like the collection. I hope this video helped you guys. I know a lot of you guys are asking me, Dominique, like, what's the tea? What's the tea? Really, there's not that much to say. I hope I helped you guys and cleared up some information. I hope this video isn't that long. I really hope you guys liked this video. If you found it informative or even slightly helpful, I would love for you guys to go ahead and subscribe to our little family here. Give this video a like, comment, and turn on post notifications. I'm going to try to get back on my YouTube grind. Prayers up for me. I had a fun time filming this video. It was nice to just come on here and like talk to you guys and not do makeup and not do this and that. And yeah, it was nice to just talk to you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.